World Series.
Now that's different.
Oh, Dad, music really does help you to work. Look, I've almost got my whole essay finished. It's on Thoreau. See, Dad? I have a record that you'd like. It's a brand new one. It's by the Four Bombers. Terry's coming over after dinner, and this is his favorite record.
I'm happy for him.
It's very good.
That does it.
Dad, what's the matter?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. I love the Four Bombers. If we're ever in another war, I want them on our side.
Thought you might like your dessert now, dear. You didn't seem very hungry at dinner.
I'm sorry, honey. I guess I was just a little steamed up. Oh, they're still at it.
It's only Terry and Sue, and they really are studying. They've got to turn in an English paper on Monday, and they haven't any time to study over the weekend.
What? The library's still open.
Helping out at Miller's department store tomorrow, and Terry's going hunting with some of the boys.
Hey, that's great. I can just see myself in my own living room, just sitting there, not even breathing too loud.
Not until after you've walked up the church steps a few times with a load of those new folding chairs for the Sunday school rooms.
Hello, Pastor Martin. You're just in time to counsel a frazzled fault. How about some coffee and cake?
Well, I'd like to, thanks, but I've just finished some at home. I didn't mean to barge in like this, but Sue told me to come on down.
How could you possibly hear what she said?
Oh, a minister gets to be pretty good at lip reading. For instance, last Sunday, right in the best part of my sermon, I saw you telling Bill Andrews about the big one that got away.
You got me. But seriously, Pastor, what do you think of this teenage music?
Well, I think I could get along without some of it. But then I suppose my parents felt the same way about Yes, We Have No Bananas.
I guess you're right. But I worry a great deal about Sue, and her friends, too. They seem to be all play. They don't seem to have any idea of what growing up means, and I don't think they care.
It could be a matter of communication. Our children are very close to us in their childhood. But the teens are neither childhood nor adulthood, and we don't always speak the same language.
Well, sometimes we do, and everything is wonderful for a few days. Then something happens, and we're like strangers.
I really don't think you have much to worry about. A young person like Sue, brought up in a Christian environment, has a true spiritual depth, even though you can't always see it from the surface.
I hope you're right. Oh, but sometimes I wonder.
I'll never get this thing done by Monday. Maybe I better not go hunting with the guys tomorrow.
Well, it's all the teacher's fault. He just shouldn't have signed a term paper so far in advance. All you do is forget about it till the last minute.
Yeah, that's right. But at least we'll be all clear for the prom next weekend.
Oh, this is the first time you've mentioned taking me to the prom.
Who else would I take?
Well, you took Ellen to the ice capades, and Ruth to the senior party, and Janet went...
Well, let's break it up, huh? Come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly, because that's how Susie Coleman gets her guy.
Why do you have to leave so soon?
Say, Terry, I thought you were going over to Ellen's again tonight.
Oh, Terry! Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, how romantic. May I have the next dance, Philip? Why, thank you, Raymond. How very charming.
Enjoy it while you can, Joe. Next year, Sue will be away at school. And you'll probably feel like playing her old records yourself, just to pretend she's still here.
If I do, it'll be nice and soft.
Don't give up. Sue and Terry may like their popular music, but I've watched them in church on Sunday mornings, and I know that our hymns mean a great deal more to them.
she's working today.
We came to see you, Mr. Coleman.
Come in. Sit down.
It's Terry. He was shot this morning.
What? Is it bad?
Well, the doc, he says Terry hasn't much chance. Look, Mr. Coleman,
Just take it easy, fellas. Sit down. Now tell me, what happened?
Well, we went hunting this morning and we split up to beat the brush. Well, we all did a lot of shooting and I came over this little hill and there he was on the ground. He was unconscious already. He was shot in the back. We drove him straight to the emergency hospital and now the police are taking a ballistics report to find out which one of us shot him.
Now, wait a minute. That part doesn't matter. It was an accident.
It was all my fault. He didn't want to go out this morning. I talked him into it.
Ray, there's no sense in thinking like that. You were no more to blame than Phil here, or Terry himself.
I guess you're right, Mr. Coleman. Do you want us to go down to the store and tell Sue?
No. No, and no phone calls. I'll tell Sue myself.
Hi, Dad. This is nice. I'm so glad you called. I wasn't a bit hungry till you phoned, and now I'm starved.
Sue, honey, something happened today, and I wanted to tell you myself. You know, the boys went hunting this morning. There was an accident. Terry's in the hospital.
Terry's? What? Well, how is he?
We're not sure yet. He was shot accidentally.
Oh. Thank you for coming to tell me, Dad. It's serious, isn't it?
I'm afraid so.
Dad, please, could we go to the hospital now?
Sorry, Sue.
I know how you and Ray feel. All the way over here, I was praying for Terry and for both of you. Do you know any more about how he is?
No. His mom and dad have been with him most of the time. Now Pastor Martin's gone up to see him.
I thought Sue and the boys were still here.
No, I had Sue take him down to the lunchroom for a cup of hot chocolate. Poor kids, they haven't had anything to eat since breakfast. How's Terry doing?
He's not going to make it, Joe. The doctors say an hour or two at the most.
What a terrible thing. For him and the other kids. Is he conscious?
Most of the time, we've just been talking together. His faith is a wonderful inspiration.
The same way with his folks. You know, with Terry lying in there, they came down here to comfort Sue and the boys.
Terry would like to see them, too. We'd better go and get them now. They can go in as soon as the doctor finishes.
original 3 squares. Can't you liven up this joint?
Yeah, the place could use a little jive, huh? Terry, I wished it could have been me.
No. This is the way God meant it to be. Hang on, Ray. Terry's right. This is the way God meant it to be.
If that's the way God works, I'm glad I never wasted my time in church.
Phil? Ray? Terry wants to talk to you now.
Don't feel bad, guys. I don't blame you for anything. And you shouldn't blame yourselves. Don't feel bad for me either. The game isn't over. The best part of it comes next. It's like Pastor Martin says, having faith in Christ makes all the difference.
I'm afraid you'll have to leave now. Terry's parents and the doctor are coming back.
I can't get over the way Sue handled herself when Pastor Martin told them that Terry had died. You know, she was actually taking care of Phil and Ray, especially Ray.
We should be very proud of her.
But how? How did it happen? One minute she's a thoughtless teenager, and the next...
Perhaps before, we didn't see anything but the surface. That could be.
Dad, could I please take the car?
Well, of course, Sue, unless you want me to drive you.
Thank you, but I think maybe I better go by myself. I'm going over to see Ellen. You know, she and Terry went steady for a whole year before...
We understand, dear. It's very sweet of you to go.
Hi, Mr. Coleman.
Hello, Phil. Come on down. Keep me company.
I thought I'd better come over and see Sue.
Well, it's very thoughtful of you, Phil, but she's visiting. A friend of Terry's.
I know, Mrs. Coleman told me. Mr. Coleman, I didn't really come over because I was worried about Sue. She's real solid. It's Ray I'm worried about. He could crack up, I guess.
It's been rough on him, on everybody. But I think he'll be okay.
I hope so. He keeps worrying about whose gun killed Terry. Well, of course, I am too.
Well, that part of it's unimportant.
Well, my dad called the sheriff's office a little while ago, and they still hadn't gotten a report on the test yet. I don't want it to be mine. But I don't want it to be Ray's gun either. I don't want him to have to live with this.
I'm very proud of you.
Terry's mom and dad have been just great about this. You know, they told my folks it didn't matter which one of us fired the shot. That we were all in this together and it was something nobody could help.
We should be hearing something this morning. No matter what happens, I'll always blame myself. You know, Terry wasn't hot about going hunting. I kidded him into it.
Oh, if you hadn't, I would have. Do you want me to answer?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be home in a little while. Well, what is it? My dad just talked to the sheriff. They got the ballistics report. It was my gun, wasn't it? Look, Ray, we're both in this together. Yeah, it was your gun. But it could have just as easily been mine. Killed him. No, Ray. No more than he killed himself by going hunting with us.
It was my gun, wasn't it? I pressed the trigger. Fired the shot that killed him.
You remember what Terry told us about not blaming ourselves?
Oh, it's easy for you to talk now that your skirts are clear.
It doesn't matter how we feel about it. Terry was right. This is the way God meant it to be.
Don't give me any of that stuff. If you can't talk sense, take your God and get out of here.
We've just got to help Ray, Pastor Martin. Won't you please talk to him?
I believe there's someone else who can do much more for Ray than I can.
Who?
Sue Coleman.
Oh, I've tried. He just won't listen to me.
Perhaps you haven't said the right things. Have you really tried to share with Ray the source of your own strength? Faith in the Savior. The faith that made it possible for Terry to smile just before he died.
Well, that just isn't something the kids talk about, Pastor. At least not to each other.
Sometimes a Christian youngster has a duty to talk about it.
But I wouldn't even know what to say to him. How would I begin?
I think you know, Sue. Say what's in your heart, and it will have meaning to Ray. If I tried to put words into your mouth, they would be my words, not yours, and they might not reach him.
Well, I'll try.
Sue, I've known you since I held you in my arms and baptized you. I've watched you go through all the problems and heartaches of growing up, and I've never worried about you, because I've always felt there was a greater awareness of Jesus in your heart than you would ever let anyone else know. Share it with Ray. Perhaps that is a part of God's purpose behind all this.
Sometime. We are friends, aren't we? Ray, I've got a message for you. It's from Terry.
What do you mean?
Well, it's something that I know he'd want to tell you himself if he could. Ray, did you know that Terry was thankful when he died?
Thankful?
Yes, was thankful because of what a certain person had done for him. Ray, we've always had a lot of fun together, our crowd. I guess we're never serious for very long, but... Well, you know the way that some of us feel about our church and our religion, don't you?
Yeah, I've heard Phil sound off on it once in a while.
Oh, it's not just sounding off, Ray. Phil really means it. And so did Terry when he told Pastor Martin how thankful he was.
Thankful? Because I shot him?
No, of course not. Terry was thankful because he didn't have to be afraid to die. You saw that, didn't you, Ray? He wasn't afraid.
Yeah, I know.
But do you know why?
Terry wasn't afraid of anything.
It's so much more than that, Ray. Terry wasn't afraid because he knew what Christ had done for him.
Oh, come off it, Sue.
No. I'm sure that if Terry were here, he'd want you to know exactly what it was that made all the difference in the world during his final minutes. Terry believed in Jesus with all his heart. He believed that Jesus had died for him to pay for all his sins so that he could face God at any time. That's why he said he was thankful even when he knew there was no hope. Because Jesus had given him a higher hope.
Oh, get a new record, Sue. I've heard that before, and it sounds pretty square.
We're not squares, Ray. And neither was Terry.
I'm sorry, Sue. I didn't mean that the way it sounded. It's just these high-sounding words don't mean a thing to me.
But they could mean as much to you as they meant to Terry, and as much as they mean to me and to Phil and to lots of other kids if you'd only give them a try.
I don't know what to do. I've never been up against anything as tough as this. There's just no one to hit back at. There's nothing a fella can do.
There's a lot that all of us can do about it, Ray. We can live with the same faith that Terry died with.
Well, maybe what you say isn't for me. Maybe it is. I'm willing to give it a try.
I'll help you, Ray.